Hey guys, so I've recorded probably like 6 videos on this, and every time I get done recording them, we're like, oh, well, here's a better way of doing it, and well, that doesn't really work, or blah blah blah. So, um, I think I've got something here though. So what you've got is you've got these 4 points, right, on these arms. Now, what you can do is offset these a little bit, but put your motor right here, right? The gear. And then what you need is a spring and a bearing. And basically it keeps it tensioned this way. And the same deal over here. Spring and a bearing. And this would probably be in a slot, and it just, moves up and down this way. And you might need this gear to be good sized. But then you've got this point here, which is a pivot point, and this point here, which is another pivot point. And these pivot points are attached to rack gears. All right. And then another one over here. And these are going to be considerably longer, and how long they need to be is, just up to the design. And so these rack gears, if you've used them, have got teeth going back and forth. And now the engine just attaches directly to these rack gears on the motor. Now you might actually put the motor down here just to keep the weight off, and that'll allow you to actually step up or step down the gear depending for accuracy, because obviously you're probably going to want more accuracy at this level than the stepping gear is going to provide, because whatever the math works out to, your accuracy is going to be cut by the length of this arm that you're out there, and so is your torque. So again, you might want to actually move this down here and do a step up to get up to here. And you need these points to move back and forth, because depending on the angle of this rack gear, the actual width is going to need to vary a little bit. But this should be pretty straightforward design, since this distance and this distance plus this distance always equal the same amount. In theory, you should be able to just put a rack gear in here, and it should just, scissor up and scissor down. And this allows you to get torque both ways. And since there's no belts in this design, it is straight gear on gear to a solid point. You should have darn near zero backlash in this design, which, yeah, pretty much everything here could be printed except for the springs, and probably the bearings, and you probably would want these pins to be metal, and you probably actually want a bearing inside of your rack gear here. The rack gear itself can be printed, arm can be printed, and this should be a really straightforward print. These arms would probably be printed in 2 pieces and then clicked together. But yeah, you could also, if you didn't want to do gears up, you could do a shaft and then an angle gear here. But I'm thinking just a straight up gear is going to be more reliable than an angle gear, especially with printed parts. All right, guys. Hope that addition helps. Yeah, have fun. It looks like an interesting idea.